fight fans? So Devin Haney does it again against George Kambosos, and it's no surprise to us, right? It's no real surprise, no disrespect to George, but George was always a very good fighter, not a very great fighter. We see Devin Haney, and he is slowly but surely going towards that great fighter status, and he's in a really jam-packed lightweight division, but I'll get into that soon. But still, he looked really good in this fight. George, no disrespect, but George did not look like he was able to withstand anything that Devin Haney was able to do to him. Devin Haney had the great jab, had the great straight, he had the great hook. He just was able to just give him all these great power shots that made George Kambosos miss, and then at the same time was able to make him question whether or not he wanted to rush in as much as he did. Because George, that's what George did. George tried to pressure him. George was trying to make it into a dogfight. But every time he did, Devin Haney landed one of those great power shots and made him question, maybe I should not do that again. Now, we saw some blood, but unfortunately, it wasn't because of any punches. There was a headbutt and such like that. But nonetheless, it still was a very good fight for Devin Haney. Devin Haney showed what kind of boxer he really is. He didn't really get to finish the fight. I would have loved to see that. That's one thing I'm definitely seeing missing from Devin Haney's career so far is a lot of good finishes. But you can't really hold that against it because George Kambosos is a very tough fighter. He comes from a very, very tough background from Australia. The guy is no joke. You don't want to take him too lightly. You don't want to give anything away or try to rush into anything because George is a very dangerous fighter again. So he could get cracked by any shot, no problem whatsoever. We've seen him put down Teofimo Lopez. So yeah, I could understand why Devin Haney didn't necessarily want to rush that stoppage to happen. But again, he looked like he was having fun in there. He looked like he was having his way in there. He looked like he was able to do anything he wanted, anytime he wanted. And that's why I think he didn't really want to wait too long for this rematch. He did beat George Kambosos earlier this year, so George wanted this rematch. So, I guess Devin Haney really wanted to get more rounds underneath this belt, get more comfortable within the weight class, build up. He got 24 rounds of lightweight action, and he was able to pretty much win all those rounds. Honestly, maybe you could give George 1 or 2, maybe 3 rounds out of all those fights. All those rounds, both fights. So nonetheless, I could see why Devin Haney wanted to do that. He didn't, because Lomachenko, Lomachenko, Gervonta Davis, and guys like Teofimo Lopez, Ryan Garcia, those guys ain't going nowhere. Those guys still got a matchup. They's got their matchups and such like that. So I guess you could see this as a really good payday, a really relatively easier fight. No disrespect to George, but still relatively easier for him, and that's what it was for him. He did get a little clash on his head, but again, it wasn't from anything. It was a clash of heads. It happens. We've seen him all the time in boxing. But again, Devin Haney was able to hold his pressure, hold on to himself, hold on everything that was going on around him. He went into the other guy's house. This was in his home territory in Australia. He was able to go to the enemy territory and get that victory, no problem. So that's something that's very, very impressive by Devin Haney. So what's next for Devin Haney? Well, we got to wait and see for that, guys. But I am very, very impressed and very, very excited to see for the future of Devin Haney. The sky's the limit for him. His skills definitely remind me of a younger Floyd Mayweather. If you guys remember Floyd back in his lightweight days, he has that very similarity, and he's getting towards there. And he's still very young. I believe he's barely going to be 24, if not 25. So he still has a lot to learn. He still has a lot to grow. And I'm very excited for him to see what happens next. If you guys see in this interview, he's even talking about possibly moving up already to 140. But we see that often. We see that often. We see what Ryan Garcia, Gervonta Davis, Teofimo Lopez, these guys lightweights. As you get older, yeah, you tend to pack on more weight, and the weight cut tends to be a little bit more difficult. So I won't be surprised, but I don't see him leaving that division entirely anytime soon. And because all the matchmaking he can have, all the money he can be making with all these guys, definitely do not see it anytime soon. But I would like to know what you guys think. Let me know what you guys think in the comments on how you think Devin Haney was in this championship matchup, and what do you expect to see from him in his next fights. Thank you very much for watching, guys, and I'll see you guys in the next video.